What's up, world? I'm Sway, and this is my inexplicable head wrap.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got some love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth. My art is my art. It ain't no shame from it. I'm feeling like
all right, friends, fam, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time you're listening to this. It's your girls and your guy, MJ, Tiara, and Lynxi, and Dean, coming to you live with some thug lovin' for episode 6 of the Boondocks Podcast, where we're covering the story of Gangstalicious. Oh, yeah. And on this episode, we watch as Riley visits his favorite rapper, Gangstalicious, who's been shot and hospitalized. But is he really a gangster? But before we get into that,
you're a wankster.
But you never pop nothing.
Yeah. You should have totally played that. Totally had that.
Although, let me not make any commentary on that in regards to Gangstalicious. Do we want to kick off with some intro stuff?
Well, what's been happening? Oh, no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. Hey, how's everyone doing?
Fantastic. You know, we have the giggles because we talk for at least 20 minutes before we get on. And so
which is
we're
good.
We're deep in the shit, but it's good shit.
Absolutely. It cracks me up, especially because I literally just before we started was like, why the hell aren't we recording? So
dropping nuggets.
Right?
Dropping nuggets. I hope everybody's had a great week. Ladies, hello.
Yeah. What's been happening this week?
Oof.
Anybody got wait, before we talk about the world, anybody have any good news happening this week? That would be awesome. No? God damn it.
No, I'm on deadline. I am just lost. I'm out of it. So this will be a good episode for sure.
I have two things I have discovered a new strain of medicine, which is fire. It is great. It's Zuki's. It is a very red, haired, just dense. Like it looks like just nugs of red. And normally that puts me to sleep, makes me hungry and puts me to sleep. But no, it's a good combination of both. You get a little lit. You can relax, sit back and watch like I've been doing, watching King of Queen reruns like I've never seen it before. But that's what I've been doing. It helped me to write a paper that I remembered at 10:55 p.m. last night. Ooh. That it was due at 11:59.
Oh yeah.
11:15. Okay. So yeah. Helped me to get a 750 word paper done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A few minutes late. It was like 12:15, but I got it done and it made sense. And so that's great. So Zuki's, and it's not expensive. So out here, we're able to get a nice little eighth for $25, $20 bucks. So,
yeah. I have to look at Dean. Like, I literally just tell him what I like and he goes to the store for me.
That's better than a friend of mine who just randomly, after 5 years of us knowing her, started smoking. She is a bud tender's dream. She just goes in and goes, she doesn't know how much. She goes, give me this much.
Oh,
this much. And they're like, what strain do you like? I don't know. I don't care. I'm like, girl, you probably walk out of there spending hundreds of dollars. She's like, yeah, probably like 200. And I'm like, how much do you get? She's like, I don't know, about this much. So I'm like,
I don't know. Like, I think I average about $120 a week, probably.
That's about that. That's all right.
That's so nice.
Like, I don't know what that is in quantity. I just know about how much we spend.
Are you? Yeah, and you guys are probably going to the storefronts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our favorite local place it has online, and you can get a discount if you order ahead. So he just basically goes and picks it up. Although this time he asked for some sleeping aids for himself. So they still do in person. Like only a couple people can be in the store at a time, and everybody has to be far away from each other, and everyone wears masks and all of that.
Well, next time that anybody needs any recommendations, you know I'm the MJ Maven. So Dean, I got you. Next time, I could even teach you how to make something for yourself that you can take as a tincture. That'll work just as well as, a $60, $80 product that you can get out of the dispensary. So
yeah, we've been talking about, because he doesn't smoke, doesn't want to smoke, has no interest whatsoever. Totally understand that. I get it. We both quit smoking cigarettes a few years ago, and I feel like for him it could very well be kind of like a gateway. And he feels that way too. So he sticks to like edibles, but he hasn't found like his right groove on that yet. So.
I would probably recommend.
I will say that the one that I did last night was a CBD 2-to-1 edible RSO, and
nice.
that one did pretty well for me. I'm going to try the one that's all THC tonight, which will probably knock me the fuck out, but.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what I'm. But yeah, the 2-to-1 definitely better than the 30-to-1. So
I've been telling him that, but
yeah, you want to go. It's once your body your chemistry gets used to it, you got to start just kind of like anything else. It's a power flower, but it still has to adjust to what's going on. So you want to be able to. I'm glad that you know that now. That like that 30-to-1, you didn't stick with that and like, oh my God, it's not working. No, you needed to go with something a 2-to-1. And then probably a 1-to-1 once you really find what's good for you.
Well,
I recommend the drinks.
Yeah, this is a gummy. Which ends up, it's gel, so it's basically a drink. So this will be this will be a 1-to-1 that I'm doing tonight. So
I'll report back.
Well, we'll talk to you next Tuesday when you wake up. No, I'm kidding.
And here I am like, hey, I'm jumping for joy because my favorite strain that I can get at this one store is there, even though I can't get my other favorite strain at this store because they're sold out right now. So like, yay, God's gift.
I can't wait. Oh yeah, that's
that's my favorite.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you guys will have to take a trip here. And then
it's gonna happen.
I'll have to take you to
it might be after there's a vaccine, but it'll happen.
Oh yeah. Especially if we're gonna go to a farmer's market, what I call them, because that's when you're gonna go and get the best for your buck, and maybe get like some THC syrup or a nice little edible and a T-shirt. It's fun. It's good times. But
I wish my sister could have met you. I really do. Like you two would have talked for a decade and never stopped about weed. Like that's sure. Like I can just
it's a great thing. That's why on my podcast that's I started off by smoking, giving a nice little quote that means something, and then we get on to all the other stuff. No, but my second thing, I don't take up too much time, is that I am probably picking up a new client. I'll find out on Thursday, which is great because I haven't had a new client to do brand education since the great old Coronacation started. So two great things. Yay.
Why don't we have canned applause? What is that? You have it for that one show.
I'm gonna need some.
I don't have anything else for that other show. I've got. Let's see, 8. I have
That's
9.
The bullshit show, right? Yeah. You talk about everything.
but yeah, I'm gonna have. But actually, you know what, Don and I. Let's see, who's available tomorrow evening at 7 p.m.
I am, depending on how long. I tape at 8:30 or 9.
Okay.
My podcast, but I don't have a guest, so I'm kind of flexible.
Because I have another podcast with me and my buddy Don, and we're looking for another podcaster to interview. Oh, so both of you are quite welcome. And I'd love to have you both on independently, not just because of this.
But your other podcasts for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So
I've been on it.
That'd be awesome. I'm looking to do more podcasts with be a guest on more, and then collab. So like I said, I already want you guys to all come on, especially now that I think it's really cool. We're getting regular listeners tweet at us and hit us up on Instagram, and like you said last week, our downloads were pretty fierce. Excited about it.
Do we have an update on that?
We're not doing too bad right now. I think we were close. Let me hit our transistors, who our host is, and they've been really great. 278 downloads as of right this moment.
Nice.
Awesome.
So
Burn.
yeah, so we're on our release dates, we're getting double digits.
Yay.
And then, so for a new podcast, that's not bad at all. I mean, and
new people are kind of catching on to us every day. Like, I keep seeing things pop up on on Twitter of people, because Dean does the Boondocks Twitter account and talks to lots of people and other Black podcasters and stuff. And so that's where some of these, like, hey, you should check out this new show, or, that's where that's been coming from. So
we've gone over 200 followers on there as well.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
Look at us. Hey, not that I doubted it. But yeah, so I want you guys to come on, have a good old time on mine. And then, and my other one as well, my more adult one.
Oh, yeah. Anybody listening, you should be able to find all of these at podscare.com.
I don't know if I have them all on the Podscare website
or
yet.
links to.
I've got,
show notes.
Show notes. Yeah, check the show notes. I'll have everything on the show notes. So, I mean, I've got, show notes. That's why.
Do we have them on our profile pages on the website?
I believe we do. I believe
that's what I was thinking.
I think I've got your the Talk of Trash and Mary Jane Maven. I think I've got both of those on our on the Boondocks website. So
okay.
I'm adding us to my my all links. How it's a cool thing now where you have which is, it's more of organization. It actually does help because you can't put all of your links on your bios on Instagram and stuff. So I need to add this awesome podcast and my fam here. Let's go ahead and add that. We're gonna have to definitely get together because we're gonna have to take some pictures. I mean, we're just so we're just all we're not even on topic. I'm gonna say we're not even off topic.
Well, I mean,
we're not.
We're talking about what's new. We're catching up.
True.
But
exactly.
Yeah. Yes. If we're talking about the world, do we have to?
I mean, how many days? How many days?
220 days. No, that's not what I was talking about.
That's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah. That's what I thought this was going.
Sorry about that. Hold on one second. I should have prepared for this one a little better. But I remember last week I said that I have a friend who's been counting the days. Yeah, so today was 218 since Seattle went into lockdown. Day 218. For a while we were doing pretty good. Now it looks like Washington, I don't know what's going on, but some outbreak has happened. And actually, I tangentially know a cluster that has happened in the Seattle area. A friend of mine's mom and dad and aunt and uncle and brother-in-law and someone else all got it because they went to a funeral.
Holy shit.
So,
whoa.
Yeah. So,
see, people are just way too freaking quick to get back to normal.
Right?
Like, first of all, there is no normal. So, once again, sit your asses down.
Well, and there are still ways to be able to do stuff. Like
True.
We're planning on doing something on Halloween weekend, but we're also quarantining for 2 weeks before and for 2 weeks after with nothing leaving the house other than maybe getting groceries. But we're planning on that. And most people are like, I've got to live my life. No, you will live your life in a year once we get through this and have a vaccine.
Right.
Herd immunity is millions of people dying. Right.
I don't know why everyone's not talking. I know my friends text me this shit to piss me off. They all keep talking about, we're doing a big birthday party this weekend. Oh yeah, we're going to do a costume party with creative masks and blah, blah, blah. Time Magazine put out an article, I swear, last week or the week before about the third wave of COVID that is coming to America.
I don't even know why they're calling it a third wave. We had one.
It never
we
went.
had one that never went away.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like,
fuck this
And
country.
it amazes me that people act like they don't know when our cold and flu season is.
Right.
So we still
my
have
God.
that, guys. It's not like COVID told them, "Hey, I got it this year. Don't worry about it." And they're
Get
like,
your
"Cool,
goddamn flu shot."
Like, seriously, come on, guys. It's a virus, and viruses mutate. I'm not good at science. I'm not good, and I know that. So I don't understand why people aren't getting that. I get the itch. Like, everybody was fine. We were talking about it last week. Everybody was TikToking and baking, bread and making friendship bracelets and shit. Everybody was fine until it got close to Memorial Day weekend. Then your rights were, your rights were being infringed on. No, because you wanted to go to that pool party. You wanted to go to Vegas.
Right. And let's talk about, right now, October. So we're not even talking about like, I'm antsy because it's summertime and it's nice outside. If you live in Seattle, it's been chilly and windy and raining. So that's not a fucking excuse.
Yeah.
But our resident in chief literally is like, people don't want to fucking hear about it anymore. So we should just stop talking about it. And it doesn't matter anymore. So if people don't want to hear about it, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to talk about it. And
because he's immune. You didn't know that?
Right. Exactly. He's immune. He's so immune, and his family is so immune that Melania still had to she couldn't do an appearance today because she still has an aggravating cough or whatever bullshit that they say. And I'm like, bitch, she's fucking probably still in the hospital or something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just all the other people that, like you were saying, 100 and some odd people that were affected, and that was when we talked about it 2 weeks ago.
That. Yeah,
who knows? Yeah, because they don't want people to know. But he's not immune to stupidity.
Even Chris fucking Christie came out of the hospital and was like, "Wear a mask. This is no fucking joke." Chris Christie.
Yeah.
Come on.
I
agree with Chris Christie. Come on.
Who would have ever thought that they would say that? But yeah, I mean, when you have Giuliani, like, I don't understand how those two together, how people go, yeah, that's cool. I like them. It makes sense.
It's a cult.
100%. A huge cult. But I'm just so done with it, y'all.
Right.
I have
absolutely.
But I may regret saying this on a podcast. Go ahead. I'll go after you. I was just going to say something horrible, which is like, I don't care anymore. Y'all want to go out here and party with each other? Go crazy. You want to die? I'm not talking to the wall anymore. You know that meme where the boy is standing there talking to the bricks? That's where I am on COVID. That's where I am on MAGA. That's where I am on Trump. Y'all do you. That is my most infamous line lately.
I totally get that. I totally get that. I was having a conversation with someone earlier about how at this point that they just couldn't believe that the cognitive dissonance and the willful ignorance around MAGA people. And I'm like, literally, no, you don't understand. See, I've watched my mother-in-law go from a mildly racist, but trying to do better white lady in Texas to like a full-on QAnon and Trump supporter. Like, it's a fucking cult, and they've been brainwashing them for years. And the people that are stuck in that right now, it's not that they're dumb. It's not that they're ignorant. They can't see it anymore. They are so entrenched in this cult that dear leader is the only person they're going to listen to.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch SNL, but I'm telling you, SNL, they just hit it out of the park whenever, it's around an election. And them talking about, asking him about, was it, how you pronounce it? QAnon, right? QAnon. Yeah. So they pronounce it. He's like, I don't know what that is. And then they show him the word. He goes, oh, canon. Love those guys. They're great. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, just making fun of it, which we definitely need. But I'm just confused. Like I've said before, I would love to be able to sit down with somebody who is in their right mind, who is somebody that has the ability to take emotion out of critical thinking, and that will just have a discussion and hear my point, and I can hear theirs. But I just don't. Yeah,
there have been a couple of. I'll have to find them and like send them to you later. But there have been a couple articles in the last couple of days, actually. Funny enough, it was because I was. I wanted to make sure I had my facts right on something else that I wanted to talk about in this episode. Mm-hmm. But it was. Oh, now I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? God damn it, motherfuck, this stupid brain when I'm high. Oh, yeah. So all of these, let's see. Actually, we're going to have to cut this part right here because I need to find this shit to make sure I get it right. Sorry about that.
I'll just... No, you're good.
I
I'll just say, I think you guys are too kind.
I wanted to ask if... Oh, no, go ahead. Since you got it. Go ahead.
Well, I was just... Yeah. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I think you guys are too nice to these people. I don't think that they are unaware of what they're doing. I think a lot of people don't want to voice the truth of what they're doing because it would mean admitting I'm not a Christian. I'm not a good person. I sincerely, in my heart of hearts, believe that I am the superior race, that I deserve to live in comfort while other people live in squalor because they are less than me and they are not chosen. And I want to keep up this 1950s 40 vision of a perfect life in America. And the rest of you, and it's not even just people who are totally MAGA and QAnon and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the friends and family who say nothing. It's all like, okay, you know what? We're going to keep quiet and we're going to let this just happen because at the end of the day, if shit goes left and like Black people and gay people and trans people, et cetera, end up in concentration camps, I'm good. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, carry on.
No, that actually, thank you, because that was exactly what I was kind of trying to remember. I was reading an article earlier that had to do with something that I want to talk about later in the show. And within the article, there was a video of them interviewing this group of rich Trump supporters who literally were like, I don't care what he says. What matters to me is what happens to my money. And that's basically, you know, you've got two kinds of Trump supporters. You've got the ones that don't give a shit as long as they're making money. And you've got the ones that are the cult members. So, and that's how it is in almost any cult. You've got the people who are going to benefit from it and the people that are being shit on so the people who are benefiting from it can get what they're benefiting from. Yeah.
And add the uneducated to the, you know, I'm
not
going to say.
Not even that. Like,
well, I'm going to say the uneducated in the belief college. That they, I'm just like, what I was getting ready to say, a certain group. And this is based on, I love Vice. I watch like everything Vice, and they were in West Virginia, you know, and they were in the area that, you know, coal mining was huge. And they all literally thought that he was going to bring coal mining back. And I'm like, were you also going to get in a time machine and go back to the 1900s or like, what do you mean? You like, and they really believe that. And now they're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm facing foreclosure. Well, you know, so it's like, I feel like those people were just so uneducated because they either aren't into politics or it was just that they wanted the opposite of Obama because they felt some way about Obama deep down.
That's part of it. I definitely believe that's part of it. But I also believe that for certain people, especially people in like the Midwest, politics is something that happens every 4 years, maybe every 2 years, if it, you know, if they're like, if they've moved from a city, probably, you know, almost every person that and I met a lot of people in roller derby, almost every person I met in roller derby who was in that Midwest area, unless it was an election year, they didn't know shit. And it wasn't their fault. It's their community, their surroundings, their local news. Nothing is like tuning them into the outside world. Yeah. And so like when I was talking again, talking about my mother-in-law earlier about living in an echo chamber, that it's not necessarily willful. She lives in Texas, where the majority of Texas is Trump supporting. So therefore, everything surrounding her is propping up her beliefs already. And then everything that she's watching on Fox News and whatever other things that she's watching are just confirming the things that she already thinks. Yeah. So, you know, then you got 50 Cent out there going, I don't care that Trump doesn't like black people. All I care about is my money. And he's not the only one. Like, I saw that story, and there's at least 10 other
Black entertainers, rappers, whatever you want to call them, moguls that are also voting for him, and they're very
Y'all,
clear
we're talking about
it.
the show. You don't know this, but we are.
yes, we are. It's all wrapped up together.
We're in it already.
Yes, but no, it amazes me because, and this is a question I wanted to ask you guys: have you ever heard about the Bohemian Grove?
Yes, I just watched a documentary on it Friday night.
So what is that one? Tell me that one.
So it is a location in the Redwood Forest, and it is
right around here.
Yeah, and it is where the powerful get together once a year, and it's so super private, and everything that you have to do to be able, men only,
Not
and
surprised.
of course men that are non-melanated, and they say this is where they decide on who the next president is, who's going to be, groomed to go for governor of a big state like California or whatnot, to then be groomed into being president. Supposedly there is the best coke ever. There are prostitutes shipped in. There's nothing but alcohol, and they're getting together and they're making these super important decisions about our government, about our judicial system, about our everyday lives. And it's crazy. It's I've looked into it a lot of different ways because I was like, is this like an urban myth? No, it is not.
Wicca, look at that's what I said to my husband. He's like, why are you listening to this conspiracy theory shit? Because I had it on the big TV. No, Google it. It is on Wikipedia. This is not like a secret. It's like an open secret.
Yeah.
What's that freaking play where the letters on the table or whatever? It's like hidden in plain sight. They say all the big families, the Mercers, the Bushes, the Kennedys, the Rockefellers, JP Morgan, all of them, like their families are all in this shit. They do weird plays that are supposed to be disgustingly misogynistic.
Yes.
A fake human sacrifice. It's just crazy.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I'm watching Dean's face, and he's so like anti anything like that it's so adorable. Like, I will watch shit about conspiracy theories. I don't tend to believe them, but I would believe that something like that is real because look at our fucking country right now. Come on.
I mean, look at it. Look, you go to YouTube, and there are several people that have tried to get in. And there's one guy who he takes you directly to where the limos, park and stuff. And it's like, even the limo driver's like, who are you? What's going on? It is crazy. They're helicopter pads so people can, fly in on their helicopter. Yeah. So the reason why I say
guarded
that,
by Secret Service.
Yeah. So the reason why I ask that is because I feel that plays into the mindset of certain parts of our country is molded by things that happen at events like that. When those that have the power, they get together and they kind of just play puppeteer. I know it's also their everyday life and what they're exposed to as well, but I think it's it's definitely influenced by those politicians or whoever.
Can I just make a joke? Because please. I keep having the image of that Simpsons episode from 20 years ago.
We do.
Yes! Who makes Steve Gutenberg a star? Oh my fucking God. They decided.
Yes.
Who the fuck would make Steve Gutenberg a star?
Yes.
Stonecutters.
Oh my God.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad you guys picked that up because I was in my head going the whole time.
I love The Simpsons was my first love with adult cartoons, and then Family Guy. Family
When I was
Guy,
in fourth
I quote it way
grade,
too many
we
times
sang "Do the Bartman" because it was popular that year.
Oh my God. Yes.
Get up.
Oh, in Deep Trouble.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Oh shit.
Get up, mow the lawn on the double. But I think you guys are still too nice. I understand it may be harder to educate yourself when everything around you is encouraging you to remain uneducated. But, and this is not me bragging. One time a guy came up to me in a bar and he's like, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen around here." I said, "You must not read magazines, huh?" You have magazines, you have TV, you have the internet. There is no reason for you to be living in the dark unless it's I keep blowing this up all over Twitter, how my mom and I were talking about some family bullshit one day. And she said, Why are you even focusing on this? Anyone who wants to know the truth knows it. Everyone else who's out here telling these other versions, that's a choice. It's a choice to be ignorant. Like, if you see, like, I was talking about, I don't know anything about NSARS, right? I don't know shit about it, but I kept seeing my friends on Twitter retweet it. So I looked it up. What is NSARS? Oh, shit. Let me start retweeting the shit with them. All the unrest about the police in Nigeria. It takes 2 seconds. Why are Black people so upset? It takes 2 seconds, you know? But well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I get that. And I agree with that wholly. I also have a couple of really leftist friends who pick up and left Seattle a couple of years ago to buy a farm in Montana. And this is their first time going through a presidential election while living there. And they struggled to find the information, just simple information about like who their down ballot races were where they lived. Wow. It's not put out there for access. And the world that they live in, it's just not done. And so therefore I don't want to call them stupid just simply because their world just does not acknowledge these things are going on. And if they are not, short of, and I will say that there is not very good internet out where they live. So that's also that's a part of it. Yeah. Like it's in a lot of those rural places, it's what do you call it? DSL,
which amazes me. Like, come on, we're not a third world country. Like, come on, guys. But yeah.
Or satellite, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Those are not always reliable. Just satellite TV goes out when there's a fucking storm. So
y'all are still too nice to me.
No, but I get it. I call my in-laws out. They are rich white Republicans in Texas. My stepdaughter and her mother and her mother's mother and me all go on and like refute every single fucking thing that they say. But there's still more. There over and over again. It'll be something like, did you hear about that SEAL Team 6 got murdered by blah, 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 blah. And we'll go, okay, that's actually a really, really bad lie. And here's why we know this. And then it'll be 5 minutes later, well, blah, 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 abortion, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just, for some of them.
It's just regurgitating what they hear, what they have access to, which is unfortunately very influential and wrong, like Fox News. And
so I think there's different categories of ignorance is all I'm saying.
I feel I think it would be, so the way that I would express it is I'm like kind of in between. I get it because of, I know that there's certain parts of the country where I'm like, you guys are like Napoleon Dynamite. Like, it is 2020. Yep. What the hell is going on? Like Walmart is the shit to them, and their Walmarts are like behind times because you can get some cute clothes from Walmart, but I feel like out there they're still like very much 1989. But anyways, I do feel that we also have so much more access if you want to know. So I feel like they are ignorant on that aspect of, of why don't you want to know? I want to continue to learn about so many things.
And that's why so much of the Midwest is dying, because the children are moving away because they want to learn more. And the adults who live there are like, but this is what it is. I don't know why you're changing everything. Yeah. Because the world is fucking changing. And if you are, again, if you knowingly are ignoring things that are going on, that's one thing. If you don't even know what's going on, that's a whole nother level of complicated. Like, you're choosing not to go and look for more, for sure. The knowing it and still going along with it, that's, for me, like, that's where I feel like it's a full-on, like, treacherous, traitorous thing, Like, I know that my stepdaughter has told her grandmother that if she votes for Trump, she's never going to talk to her again. But her grandmother does not believe that that's going to happen. She just, it's just blinders. There's nothing outside of what she believes is happening. And, like, there is a whole bunch of those fucking people out there, and they scare the shit out of me. And
how we can't fathom it, they can't fathom how we think and how we feel.
Right,
they don't get it, and then we be, we're hippies or whatever else.
Scary fucking anarchists that took over Seattle and burned it down, even though it literally was one square block, and the only burning that happened was done by cops. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
And we can move on after this, but this is why I still can't give the pass, right? Because here you are, right? Here are the people I love. Here's my granddaughter telling me, please listen to me. I'm hurting. Please listen to me. Please, I'm begging you. Hear what is going on. I have one girlfriend who's adopted, and she talked to me and she has cried to me because she was adopted. Technically she's an alien, even though she was adopted by white people in America, and how she pleaded and begged with them to see her perspective during the 2016 election. And while she thinks her dad did hear what she said and voted for Hillary, she said, I'm certain my mom voted for Trump and she will not address it with me, but I can tell that she feels bad now. But when your daughter came to you and pleaded and begged with you to just hear her, right? You didn't need the internet. You didn't need a book. You didn't need a magazine. You had someone who loved you the most telling you, I am being hurt by what's going on right now. And I don't know. I can't accept that you couldn't hear that. You chose to put a damper on it and do what you proceeded to do. So it's tough. And this is a new space for me as well. Like, listen, I've always had my left-leaning socialist bullshit opinions and da-da-da-da-da. But my empathy, my sympathy, my vibe high for people is at an all-time low. I am now at the stage of, you know what? You get what you get for what you've done. So keep voting for Trump, keep going out and celebrating, and y'all do you. And, that's it.
I mean, y'all have only just recently known me, but like I joke and my friends joke that my empathy is like off the charts, and it's ridiculous. It's why I do what I do and why I can get through what I do. And so it's my superpower. I totally agree with that. But yeah, I'm as empathetic as I am, as understanding of human development and psychology and all of that as I am fully supportive that my husband has cut off ties with his mother. I am fully supportive that my stepdaughter is threatening to basically cut off ties with grandmother. My stepson, who is 17 and is really, really struggling with why grandma's doing this, I will support him whatever he chooses. But that relationship is dead. And not sure she knows that yet, because every once in a while she'll still tag me in something, which is really weird because I don't follow her on Facebook anymore. Like, I literally go to her page to refute shit that she posts publicly. And that's the only thing I do. So yeah, it's really weird having it be your own family. I am constantly trying to check in with Dean and see how he's feeling, but I also know that he's just basically given up. So yeah, he's nodding. So
I mean, there's just a level of passive aggressiveness that comes with that. And I think that, when we get to a certain age, we understand that it's just so much, healthier to not have negative energy. And if that, I mean, the saying goes, not all family is blood. And unfortunately, sometimes those are the people that that do come and go in your life. And it's just a fact, with families. So it's just as, you have friends of 20 and 30 years. I've recently, in the past probably year, have ended some relationships with people that I've known for 20 something years, and can easily say, that I thought you were like a sister and whatnot. But once something very trivial, came into play, it just allowed me to say, you know what, I'm okay. And I'm going to let go. Whereas, Tiffany or Mary Jane, the younger me, the passionate, I want everybody to like me, Aries, but also fuck you, Aries, was finally you know what? I have enough people, in my life, and I just don't have the time or the energy. So I think we come to that point, and you have to come to terms with it, just like they have to come to terms with the loss of a relationship. And more than likely, they probably won't. The older that they are, the more, stubborn and set in their ways that they are. So it's like they have beer goggles but a different type of, goggles that just keeps everything kind of screwed up for him.
I know what you mean. The last couple of years, it started probably with Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem.
Oh, yeah.
And it was almost like one by one, I was ending friendships left and right because so many people could not understand what that was really about.
Yes.
And for me, that was when my heart really started breaking. And when I started, when you talk about being cynical, for me, this is cynical. I struggle with believing that everything is going to be okay. I'm in the process of making sure that my dual citizenship is valid. I'm just waiting on one more piece of paperwork before I file everything. And my contingency plan is I'm moving to fucking Canada in a couple of weeks, potentially. I don't want to fucking do that.
Happy I know you, because I'm saying Drake has not answered any of my letters. So I'm going to have to find somewhere else to go. But no. Yeah, no, I'm with, it's a scary reality.
This fucking country is so, I was high earlier thinking about this and just really thinking about thinking about how the quote unquote United States, it's really 4 different countries. And somehow we're trying to get along being 4 different countries. You've got the West Coast, which essentially, if you did, let's see, everything west of the mountains, basically going all the way down from BC to California to Mexico, that's all very liberal land. You've got Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, LA, Bay Area. I can't think of what else, San Diego. Yeah. Right. So all of these cities that are very, very blue. And I should say ideologically, we're very blue, comparatively. And then you've got the east side of the mountains plus the Midwest, which all kind of has that same mentality, in my opinion. Then you've got the South, then you've got the Northeast. And we are not one United States. We are 50 states and a bunch of territories that all have been left to die by our quote unquote leader. And why are we still doing this? Why are we still... Anyway, fall of Rome, and I don't want to move to Canada, but
it's a good plan.
Be ready if I have to.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, you're not being foolish about it.
No.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest
here's
thing.
My thing
I've
on
put
that.
it off. Go ahead.
Anybody
I
that
always
thinks
say
that it's
America
not needed is delusional. I mean, that's my favorite word with these people that are acting like we don't live in the times that we live in. But yeah, go ahead, Lynxi. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I always say it. America was built as 2 countries from inception, right? We had the ideology that was presented. All men are created equal, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, et cetera, et cetera. But then you set out and you put all these rules in the situation, like only landowners could vote. Black people are, 3/5 of a person, da, 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 da. So you always had the Republican Party and the more quote unquote Democratic, although we know
the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party.
Yes. You always had these 2 ideals going on. One, this notion that anyone could come here and live a free, happy life. And this other notion of, the wealthy, the educated, quote unquote, and the rich run this shit and the rest of you deal with it. They were both in there from inception. Now, that's why I think you see the clash happening in ideologies now, because what's happening is it's come to the point where the ruling class says, well, listen, the Constitution says I'm supposed to rule this shit. I'm going to run this shit. Y'all need to get over it. Immigrants, get out. Black people, deal with it. And you have everyone else saying, well, wait a minute. I thought I could come here to live a free and happy life. We're going to fight this shit out. And so both sides have their valid points and all that kind of shit. My breaking point with it, I always say, is that one of these parties, there are other doctrine human beings have agreed upon, one being universal human rights. One of these parties is suppressing universal human rights. So it's not okay. But I do think that is what is going on in America now, is the battle for the soul of the country. I do think those founding fucking fathers, in a way, did this shit on purpose. Not saying they wanted some kind of split or schism to happen, but they wrote it the way they wrote it. So you had to know it was going to come here because you were some smart motherfuckers. So, it kind of is what it is. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. And that's that.
Yes.
I'm actually, I'm going to have Dean play one of my clips right now because what we're talking about, I feel like there's something right now going on that's pretty relevant. And since we should technically be talking about the show.
Are you here for the Boondocks? Oh, sorry.
My favorite rapper was when I was your age. Ice Cube.
The dude that makes family movies? He was a gangster rapper?
He was so gangsta. I used to have dreams that Ice Cube came to my house and killed my whole family. And for some reason, I thought he was so cool and I wanted to be him. When I started to act like that, like a killer, people like me, girls, whatever. But I really wasn't that person. And finally caught up with me. And I'm sorry you got caught in the middle.
Okay, so unpacking that little scene, regardless of the fact that they are tied up in the trunk of a car being led to where they think that they're going to die. Ice Cube, who, when I was a kid, was a scary motherfucker who yelled about...
I'll be right back, ladies.
Mm-hmm, who yelled about white supremacy and, fuck cops and, we're going to do gangsta shit, is now working with our president, or at least his people, in some sort of, in my opinion, misguided attempt to prop up Black people. And I understand the the Contract for America, I think is what it's called, that Contract for Black America that Ice Cube is trying to promote right now. But the problem is they are choosing to push their idea at a time when we are less than 2 weeks as of this recording before the election. People are actively voting right now. And he started working with one political party because the other political party said, we want to work on this. We just need to focus on the election right now, which is really fucking valid. But what it looks like is Cube is sitting there going, they're both terrible, but one group is willing to talk to me. So it makes it almost seem like even though he refuses to endorse anybody and is, really quick to say he's not a Democrat or a Republican, I actually kind of find that to be a problem more than anything right now, because he's working with very, very firm white supremacists. There's no fucking question.
There is no way. To me, this is a hard boundary, hard line, something that should never be crossed. That man sat on TV and said to a group of white supremacists, stand down, but stand by, or whatever the wording was. What else do any of you need? Right? I don't understand. You can make all the contracts you want and talk about all the initiatives you want to work on with this man. He just said to you, I'm on standby to have you murdered. How about that? It's just not.
And not just that.
I don't know.
The whole administration makes a huge deal about how Black Lives Matter is an Antifa is a terrorist organization. Yeah. When literally the whole point of both Black Lives Matter and quote unquote Antifa, which is not a singular group, thank you very much. The thing that they are fighting against is the oppression of people of color. And so it's pretty fucking obvious when you have the leader of an entire country go, well, they're terrorists and they're bad guys. And just because they're the ones who are, humanitarian, let's forget that fucking word. I don't know. I'm bleh. That's how I feel about
Nope,
the whole
I'm
thing.
with
Just,
you.
blah. Fuck.
And this is how I'm feeling about people in general lately. It's like you're so into the minstrel show is not the word.
But
It could partially be in this.
It kind of
Yeah.
is. Kanye and 50, come on.
And you're just so, and that Kanye and 50 and Ice Cube, that you are so okay with being in this. And even just like other people to me, like I was talking to one of my girlfriends on Twitter and said, like, the silence that is going on right now.
Yeah.
I know many people aren't comfortable talking about politics and shit, or like being so open about what they're feeling, given that this country could turn any way at a moment's notice, especially in 2 weeks.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yay! There you are.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was like, and you were just stuck over and over and over again.
Yes.
So I was like, okay.
The techno
Yeah,
remix.
I was like,
Right? We're going to have to
Mix on
sample
it.
that.
Remix.
It's the ghost of Ice Cube reprimanding me.
Yeah,
so,
I had to go to the restroom, but I am so, like, I know whatever you guys said, I fully agree with that man. I am disappointed. Disappointed in him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if disappointed is even a strong enough word. Like when it first like broke, I was like, okay, well, whatever. That maybe it's not what it seems, but like literally, he's like, nah, Democrats and Republicans are both bullshit, and so here's this thing, and only the Republicans wanted to talk to me about it. Yeah, look at your fucking timing, dude.
yeah,
All you're doing right now is giving them free advertising.
Right? And I feel like you should be smarter than that, Cube. Come on.
Right.
Like, come on.
You've been at this game long fucking enough.
Yeah,
Come on.
that just lets you know.
You
he
look
has money.
real unfamiliar right now, Ice Cube.
Right?
Yeah.
Like for real. I love that.
Game recognizes game,
Yes.
Grandpa.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of like the best segue into talking more about the episode more.
Yeah, let's get more back in that.
Yeah.
Dean, you must have fun editing these episodes.
Right.
Oh, he loves them. He doesn't edit much.
Yeah, I don't take a lot out. I leave most of the juicy bits in. So
Pretty much, I'll go, hey, there's this one thing that I really screwed up on. I need you to edit. Other than that, you'll just put it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
I trust that you'll be like, I don't think she meant to say blah, 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 blah. And so you'll like fix it for me. So I'm good.
Yeah, totally.
And other than that, leave it in there. Because if I said it, I want people to hear it. No.
Oh, all right. So
Same.
now that we have talked about Ice Cube in all his glory,
Yes.
and that was just like literally just a throwaway line in a throwaway joke in this show that literally at this moment has meaning in our lives. And it's kind of ridiculous that,
Right.
you know, what was this, 15 years ago we decided ish? So about 15 years ago, Ice Cube was just starting to really make family-friendly movies. I can't remember what the one was called, but it was like...
Are we there yet? Are we done yet? Yes, girl. He went from...
he was a movie star in Friday, but Friday was still very much like Black culture. And Barbershop, wasn't he in Barbershop? Yeah.
Yep.
So very much in Black culture and not family-friendly. And then he started making kids' movies, which is cool. I have no problem with that.
My kids love all of those. I can't stand them, but they love them.
Same. But it's like since then, he's, I don't know.
You know, he started a basketball league, and I get that. Like, I get that he, you know, is trying to display ownership, you know, and by saying we can have another league other than the NBA, you know, and I think that's awesome because, you know, there are, you know, artists that can get together, Diddy's and 50s and DJ Khaled's and Drake's and, you know, make our own NFL league or something like that where people have more ownership. So I like that. But I think that because you are starting to make more money and you're becoming much more of a businessman, you're doing what everybody else is doing. It's what's best for your bottom line because you're speaking as if my thing was everyone, when he started, I said, so to the everyday person, to somebody who makes $50,000 a year for a family of 5 and they're living their best life, but they're sitting here and they're listening to you. What is the alternative? Like you're saying that we, as Black people, we just fall into Democrats and we just played, their pawn. And okay, but that has to do with our culture, how we were raised, kind of things is passed down. And I don't care what you say, they do speak. I don't get the rhetoric that Democrats don't speak for Black people or try to help Black people because, I know that there are problems. I know that there's poverty, but the Republican Party does not represent our lifestyle. And doesn't represent what's in our best interest. Now, when you come to the crimes and the 3-strike laws and different things like that, okay, but then again,
there is no party that is for Black interest. Yeah. There's no such thing as a political party that is working in our best interest. What we have is a few politicians sprinkled throughout what we can cling on to, like AOC and Ilhan Omar and all of these wonderful, amazing women of color. Let's be absolutely clear on this. Women of color who are speaking for us. Everyone else pretty much is a white man representing somebody with money.
Yes.
If they are not someone with money themselves.
Yes. It always
all
comes
this
down
bullshit.
to that.
Right. Can we talk about the bullshit of, both parties in saying, Trump is a businessman, therefore the normal man will understand him, or Joe's from Scranton, Ohio, he's a normal guy. Neither fucking
Working
one
class.
of them has any idea what it's like to be a normal fucking human, period, end of story.
Let's look at your tax, your tax, filings, those who were reported, but Joe Biden came out and what this man made a $250,000 or $750,000 or something. Why? You catch the train every day. What do you do? You know what I'm saying? But you cannot relate to, Ryan Jones or, and his family and the fact that he works for Pepsi and, wants to live in a nice, area and own a home and whatever else. You can't relate to that because you're so far removed from it. I don't care how much you try. And I like Uncle Joe. I call him Uncle Joe. He reminds me of just old uncle that you just go, oh, Uncle Joe.
Yep. I mean, granted, I had an aunt who thought it was really cute to refer as my baby pictures as, isn't this the cutest little jigaboo you ever seen in your life? So, aunts and uncles.
Yeah, right? I mean, come on. You guys have not been to a holiday dinner and a grandma or a grandpa, mainly grandpa, or an uncle or an aunt has said something that you're like, what? And it's usually when you have your Black college friend with you and then they want to say something crazy. So we know these things happen. And we can't change them, but we can work on what it is that we do and being accountable and being honest about all the things that add to, the dissension that happens and the fact that people don't feel like they need to vote because they feel like it doesn't represent them or it doesn't help.
Yeah.
And
that's something I struggled with this year. When Bernie backed out, actually before that, because we could see that it was going to happen.
Bernie, he just tried.
He's not anywhere near a politician that aligns with everything that I believe in. But the fact that they think that such basic human needs are far left expectations. I'm so fucking proud to call myself a psycho leftist when I hear shit like that, because all that Bernie wants is for people to have life, liberty, what? And the pursuit of happiness. Right. It's almost as if that's his job.
Right. And where did he get that idea from? Where did he get that phrase from? But you're right. I mean, people calling him a socialist. And I'm like, well, you know what? Then I'll be that. I completely believe in taking care of others and people
and weaponizing
it. I don't get it, and I loved him. I don't care if he's 9,000 years old.
Same.
I don't care if he's yelling
got
at
his
you.
Stuff.
Croak on me, daddy.
Right?
No politician. No politician is perfect. As much as we hope that there will be people leading us who reflect our ideas, nobody is going to make it to that point and still have the same ideas that we have. It just isn't going to happen when there's 4 countries trying to rule as one.
Yes. Yes.
So
and then you have to make everybody happy. And then your job is really the face. There's others that make the decisions, and you just have to decide which one's best. I mean,
right. And that's why Obama was good, because he actually was a literal centrist. He believed that everyone should have education and housing and jobs, but he was like, but we still need to kill this fucker over here because he's scary and he might attack us.
Yeah, he was a realist. So, he knew what he could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think going into that position, you should be realistic about what it is that you can do in 4, possibly 8 years. Don't think that you're going to change the fucking world, okay? Because it's not going to happen. You're going to benefit from whatever the person that held the office did before you, and then hopefully you're going to implement some things that the next person can benefit off of. But it's like a long going, days of our lives. Stefano's still around. What are we gonna do?
Stefano D'Ambra.
Yes.
It's funny. I was talking about this with my sister literally before we hopped on this call, and we were having this discussion, and she was like, well, I don't know what people expected from Obama. He did a good job. He was president for all, which is basically what you guys are saying. But I'm having such regrets right now because I almost dropped Uncle Ruckus's song he's singing in the hospital into my clips for the episode. But then I was like, well, what am I going to say about this? Let me just leave it out.
That should have just been your clip.
So
mic drop. That's all. You're like, I don't have a point. That's
and it would have been perfect right now.
Now Dean's going to sing it, and I'm going to have to hear it. It's terrible.
Yes, but he should. He should. It is perfect.
I'm glad his mic isn't on. All you can hear is like the from my background.
Uncle Ruckus spits
I
some
pulled it
fire
up though
of
to
truth,
read the
like,
lyrics.
sometimes he really does. It's very.
Oh shit!
Did he say
though,
that?
yeah.
But sometimes he kind of knows what he's talking about. And the way that Aaron McGruder puts that together, and the puzzle pieces that he puts together in this episode, and the different, the different views and topics it brings up, and just all kind of weaves together. And it's still hilarious. Like, when Riley wraps up and he's just lying his entire little black ass off.
We got a clip for that.
Ooh, do it.
What are these kids doing today?
And you really shot one of them dudes at the hospital.
Oh, hell yeah. See, Gangstalicious dropped his gun, right? And I picked it up and I was like, kaplow, kaplow. It was like some old John Woo shit.
Let me take my medication. I need to take my
And then
medication.
Gangstalicious start crying and shit. And I'm like, quit crying, you little bitch.
Tonight, so I can go
You
to sleep
should
right
have
away.
seen me. I was
Forget about
so
this dream. Must be a
gangster.
dream. What the heck is going on around here?
Love.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that clip. I love that you picked that clip, but I love that clip because it, for me, really just is like Riley just is so. It's that cognitive dissonance thing. He's buying into the gangsta lifestyle. He and that's exactly kind of like what my clip was saying too, where he was like, I idolized Ice Cube and I wanted to be like him, and eventually I ended up being this hard ass, and I have to keep this, this persona going, and blah 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 blah. Like that's all of that is toxic masculinity and toxic Black culture, like being propped up by media. And
I love that you bring that up because that leads into my clip and the two biggest things that I took from this episode, which was one, I guess we could kind of play the clip where he says like, I'm scared, basically like I'm fronting type of thing. Yeah.
You may.
How you gonna drop the gun, Gangstalicious? That is not gangster. That's very not gangster. Man, I can't believe this. You a fraud.
Oh, I'm a fraud. You scared too?
I'm 8.
Okay, fine, whatever. I'm a fraud. I'm just an average, normal dude. I don't want to do this stupid shit no more. I'm tired of getting shot. Help.
It's like going to heaven and finding God smoking crack.
like this whole episode is Riley seeing that his idea of Black culture is really toxic and not good, and yet at the end he's still like,
he stays steadfast in it. Yes, yeah. So that is
right into it.
I think that the broader message that says to me is that unfortunately, our Black men, they feel this need to live in this non-toxic, which of course leads off to not be, no homo type of situation.
Right.
But in order for me to express how much of a man I am, then I'm going to do something like, act like I'm this huge gangster, and I'm not. Like, I'm the sweetest person ever. I like garden or whatever else. But that goes back to our families being torn apart and our men being put in jail, where we never had that. The men never had that ability to be the man that they're supposed to be, which is to be a father and to be a husband and to be there for your family. So they have to, exert it another way. And it's the trauma that a lot of our Black men deal with that they don't realize that they deal with, because you live up to a lot, or you try to live up to a lot every day. And so unfortunately now it's reflected in. And not so much, there's still those that, that tout that they do this and that, but they're usually called to the carpet. That's the good thing about social media and people like wanting to put people on blast, is that they do kind of call people out. But you have white America who ignores it, and they still buy the music, and they still keep, these rappers or these people in this persona, where it becomes detrimental to them, because 9 times out of 10, well, I'm not going to say it that high, but a good amount, they're dying, and they're going to jail because they're trying to live this lifestyle. So,
yeah, Dean actually just reminded me that works. Your other clip also works here. So he's going to play that.
Get out of my head.
We now return to Gangstalicious Resurrection. The judge allowed Gangstalicious' music to be introduced as evidence at his assault trial. They played for the jury a track called Play It for the Jury.
Play it for the jury, the defendant and the plaintiff, the court reporter and the plaintiff. Play it for the jury, the defendant and...
I keep telling these people this shit is supposed to be just music, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you really think about it, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, somebody could get hurt.
For real. So I love that you brought that up, because that was going to lead right into, the acting, putting on a facade. So I don't know if you guys heard about the rapper, and I'm using that very loosely in my air quotes. His name is Noop Bizzle, and he's from, it gets better.
I can't help it.
He was just arrested on 3 federal charges for EDD fraud, for claiming and getting $1.2 million in EDD claims. Do you want to know how he got caught? Because he made a song called EDD.
Oh, this guy.
No.
Yes. I was.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Come on.
I had the clip. I don't. Maybe look, and this is a sad thing. It kind of knocks. But it is just the stupidest shit ever. Like, you legit got on and called the song EDD, and you say in it, I got rich off of EDD. So I hope that I don't know what I hope for you, because I hope that maybe somebody looks up to you in the federal penitentiary, and maybe you can make a song about how you got, something from the commissary. I don't know. But you legit made a song, and now you are facing 22 years. And these are Fed charges. What is their percentage? 95% or some shit? Like 98?
Ooh.
Like, yeah. 1.2 million. First of all, if you're that smart, do something else with your life, fuckhead. Because you just hustled $1.2 million. $1.2 million from the state. So, yeah. So that was like, that's the real life version, of Play It for the Jury. Because they will definitely be playing that for the jury. Definitely. So, and unfortunately, it's all about the shine. He's living in Hollywood Hills. He was driving a brand new Maserati. He made a video at his mansion that he's, renting for an just crazy amount. And I'm like, well, yeah, he got First of all, how does EDD send out $1.2 million to, like,
right?
What did he use it for that? Like, were they like, oh, we just sent that to that card. Let's go. Like, I don't get it. But yeah, so once again.
I mean, maybe he's got the same accountant as Trump with his, $750 tax dollars.
He'll probably get off. Yeah, he'll show. No, I only got $750. But no, so that is kind of why I chose those two clips, is because I think it, you know, it speaks volumes, and it speaks to a, you know, something that is, it causes nigga moments, you know, going back to last week, but deep down it is some trauma that, you know, we need to deal with, and that our Black men need to deal with.
It's that I can't remember exactly what the saying was, but it's basically they locked up our dads and then made fun of us for not having dads. And so our Black men are living with that knowledge that society thinks of them either as felons or, you know, children of felons that are probably having to do all this shit because they didn't have a father figure. Like that's the tunnel vision that a lot of white America has about Black America.
My dad came and picked me up, and my mom and dad came to, you know, back to school night. And I remember a kid going, "Are those both of your parents? Like your real parents? Is he your uncle? Is that?" And I was like, "You little shit! What? Like, how dare you?" And then I will say, like 2 years later, we found out that your dad was doing something with somebody else's mom, and so your parents didn't stay together. But hey, that's the pettiness side. No, but anyways, it's just that preconceived. It's not even a preconceived notion. It's just straight stupidity, you know. But when you had shows like Good Times, you know, and you had James there, but they chose to kill him off. And I know that was some other behind the scenes shit going on, but that just reflected what they were trying to not, you know, reflect by having a family, you know, that were, so it's, I don't want to say it's innate, but I think it is to those that don't live it. So to them, it's just, you know, that's the norm.
I think one of the themes that runs throughout this entire show is, like, we were talking about how Riley takes all of that stuff so seriously, about how kids are seeing this and mimicking exactly what they're seeing. And like, I can speak to that from a point of view is, like, as we were talking, I was remembering, I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, what was his name? Takeshi 6ix9ine went to prison. I had a student who loved his music, apparently, and like was really heartbroken when he went to prison and started snitching, and like his idol was a snitch, and I'm like, he's a, you know, kid essentially. This, what was his name? Whatever his name is, his real name is, you know, he was like what, 20? So he's a fucking kid who is facing like federal time and is doing the exact thing that you would expect a little kid to do, and that's telling everything he knows. And he's villainized for it. And I, you know, I'm not gonna say right or wrong or about snitching or whatever, but just watching kids that I work with idolize and then get so crestfallen over their hero doing this thing that supposedly is so completely terrible. And like, the way that Riley changed facts in his head to fit his own narrative, that's exactly like the particular student I'm thinking of, who just wouldn't acknowledge it. It just didn't happen. He didn't want to talk about it. Didn't happen. Whatever. He's in prison. He's fine. It's fine. And that's I think that's a recurring thing, but especially in this episode, like, you really see he's just like, oh yeah, the gangster shit, I gotta go see my friends, or you know, gotta go let him know that it wasn't my crew that shot him, and you know, like, totally playing at 8 years old this little gangsta kid.
They hit me with the gun, and then I had some dream that they were kissing shit. Like, I love how like they like he brushed
when
over
presented
that part.
with the homosexuality, with that toxic masculinity that he had inside, he could not possibly imagine that his idol could be gay.
Yeah. Because
being gay is, you know, in a lot of
and it's not
Black
gangsta
culture, especially, that's not something you talk about or you know, like, my dad, when I was a kid and I had a friend who came out, he was like, that's not real. Your friend can't stay over, even though, you know, they say they're gay. You have to lock the door. Blah, blah, blah. Like, No.
And that drives me crazy because
That's
in the
what
black
you grew up
church,
with.
the choir director is definitely gay. Like, let's be honest. So I don't understand why we try to act like we don't know, like what we just look the other way, because am I lying? In a black church, the choir director, the children's choir director or the main choir director is usually sugary sweet, and that's okay. And we all know it. And, we try to act like when he brings his friend to church, we don't see his friend, and that's sad. And that's where it starts. It goes back so deeply. We can't just put it on black men and say you're homophobic. It's what we've been
It's black
taught.
culture.
Yeah.
And it's black culture.
It's not correct. It's not, but that's something that, once again, because of our history. Yeah.
I have two big takeaways on this, and one may be better served to the other half of this episode. But first addressing the toxic masculinity and the anti-gay being gay aspect. I also feel like the anti being oh my God, you can't be gay, da 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 da. A lot of that is tied to also the notion that regardless of all the oppression that Black people have faced, especially Black men, no matter what you want to say, Black men have always been regarded as the pinnacle of sex and power in the bedroom, etc. In culture across the world, they got huge dicks. Da, 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 da.
Girl,
Look at the Kardashians.
Yes,
we just had an episode where Tom was afraid of the giant dick in the shower.
Yes,
yes.
That was a giant one. Man, that was giant.
And I
also,
think there is a sense of
they didn't censor that one, but they censored the dick in this episode.
Yeah, I noticed
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. They strategically did that. Yeah, that was
no. Interrupt me because y'all know I like to talk.
No.
But I think that so a lot of this, and I was happy we kind of talked mostly about politics today, because when I watched this, I was like, damn, how the fuck are we supposed to unpack all of this when none of us are a gay man or gay woman, or it's a tough thing to try and represent this point of view. But I think that is where some of this, that's gay nigga shit comes from. It's no, my power still resides in my sexuality, regardless of all the things and the dignity that society has tried to strip me of. So somehow, if you're associated with being gay, that somehow takes away from this image that you are just the height and pinnacle of sex, despite the history of all these powerful leaders, warlords, samurais, etc., being gay.
Yeah.
But that might be better a discussion we better unpack on the second half of this episode, which I also watched just out of, I'm in it now, which that'll be good. But the other thing, which I was uncomfortable with unpacking here, was like I said, I grew up in the hood. It was not like the hood. It was the hood. There were a lot of people who were really into a criminal lifestyle. Some people out of necessity.
Yes,
and this is also something, that I am really not the right person to speak to. This is another thing I was like, well, how do we really address this? Because I knew people in it, but unless you're in that life, you really just don't fully know it. You hear things and you see things and okay, well, I know he's going to go do a drop. I know this is serious. I know, but or I know they're going to run up on this dude, but you really don't know sort of a lot about what really, really, really goes on. So it's hard to discuss. But I know there are people who are in that life who don't necessarily want to be in that life. They feel like this is the hand I was dealt in life. This is what I'm going to do.
And I can't imagine that. So I because I didn't have that same upbringing. So I can't imagine. I mean, when you're talking, it reminds me of The Wire. Like I said, I just watched this, this summer. Yep. And that's what Baltimore, and I don't know, don't let me speak out of turn if that's what it's still like, but I believe it is, crack's not a, huge thing anymore. So it's probably not as bad, but that was a necessity. You have the 7-year-olds out there on the corner and they're talking like grown ass men, you know what I'm saying? And they're selling and they're doing this, but because their mother is doped up and they have to be, the parent to their siblings and they have to bring food in the house. And, so there's definitely a necessity out of it. And then sometimes it's, environment. It's poor influence. But then again, those people have that mentality and you get that influence because that's what they're used to, and that's all that they know.
Right. And I think in this show, I mean, they moved from Chicago to the suburbs, essentially, is what they're playing at here. So Riley grew up probably tangentially to actual
hood life,
hood life, and is now in like this rich neighborhood where the other quote unquote thuggy kids and adults that are around there are white, white and rich. So it's really fascinating watching how they're having this character go from, I keep thinking of the episode that's upcoming, doing hood rad shit with his friends. Like, I feel like Riley is, we're going to have fun with that episode. I feel like Riley, that right now, that's the mentality he's in. Like, he's like, I want to be gangsta. I want to do this because that's what I saw when I was a kid. That's what I idolized before I moved here. Now that I'm here, I have to be tough because all these white people are going to expect it from me.
Well, he thinks that, the Bush character and the Rummy character, he thinks that they're like everything. You know what I'm saying? And,
right. If
those two were kids, white kids, he'd probably be like, you are fake and, you're fronting and you're not really, but because they're adults and Riley really does kind of think like an adult, it's that, Aaron McGruder was just a fucking genius. Oh my God. But no,
seriously,
it just really makes you think about how we put our children in situations to be more adult than they need be. But then when they are, we chastise them for that and we want them to be back in a child's place. And it's like, well, how can they? And, they know every single lyric to Get Rich or Die Trying. And you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So it's when you really dig down, and I love that the universe provided this opportunity for me to see that tweet and respond to it, because I would have never looked at the show from this perspective, in perspective. I was in college and high and we thought the shit was funny. And, some of the topics were, started conversations, but, it wasn't, I don't want to say important enough to me, but it wasn't a point in time in my life where I needed to be reflective enough to look at all the jewels and nuggets of this show. So yeah. And I love it. And we have 4 seasons? Yay.
But I do want to finish talking about that hood culture thing, because to my point and to what you're just saying, there are kids who are like, if you're 7, 8, 11, 12, etc., you are sent out to kind of deal, because if you get caught, whatever little nigga, you'll be out, you'll be in juvie. Yeah, it's no big deal. But then I think a lot of people idolize this lifestyle because Black people do all struggle in this country. So when you look at, I'm out on the street dealing drugs, I had to get into a shootout, it almost represents like this primal version of a war. Like we're really out here warring to survive. And so I think it just becomes, what's the frickin' word? I can't even think of it. When the part represents the whole for the struggle. So that's why I think people love it so much. And that's why I think so much rap music hypes a lot of people up of all races, because everyone has their struggle and they're like, yeah, I'm in it. And then you have a lot of people like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Well, I don't know his story, so I shouldn't say that.
Right.
You're not missing anything.
And I wasn't say I was going to say Cardi B, but she, I think actually too did kind of grow up, prostituting herself and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But you have, and Jay-Z, who actually grew up in this lifestyle, but you have people who idolize it so much that they get money. They become a famous rapper. They become a famous whatever, and they intentionally get in this lifestyle, which is, I think what they were trying to sell us that Gangstalicious was going through before we found out what was really going on in his situation.
Yes. Right.
Which to people who actually have to live this lifestyle, like I said, I can't speak for them, but I'm sure that's probably a little bit offensive if they give a fuck at all because they're trying to survive. But yeah, that was just my takeaway on this episode and this bullshit and kind of like how I felt watching it. Like, ooh, how are we going to unpack all this?
Yeah, this one had a lot that is hard to relate to as a woman, period. Because a lot of it had to do with, again, that idea of what masculinity is supposed to be, instead of just actually believing that if you are if you believe it's masculine, it's masculine. Like, that's kind of my point of view, but whatever. It's something that is only kind of recently gaining traction in people talking about it and talking through it. Like, I'm really, really loving things like Tumblr and Insta, where you can see highlighted like photos of same-sex couples that are Black and beautiful and happy. Because when I was a kid, if you asked me about gay Black people, it would have been me staring at the sky trying to think of anybody who was out in the 80s.
Yeah, RuPaul. No. But yeah.
Nope. Before that.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. There wasn't. I mean,
like when RuPaul hit the scene, when Love Shack came out, then that was it, one of the first times I saw representation of Black queer people, essentially.
Yeah, my husband and I were talking about it last night, like Laverne Cox. There's this new movie that's coming out on Hulu that looks really good, and she's in it. And I said, I remember her being on Making the Band. And if you would have told me that, she would have been the first and like accepted and successful, transgender, and I guess woman. Yeah, I didn't want to say woman. I'm sorry, that, live that lifestyle is what I want to say, because I see her truly as a woman, and Black. I would have been like, get the hell out of here. Don't tell me, don't sell me that. But I love that she's so widely accepted and she lives her truth. And, and we've come a long way, a very long way.
Yeah, it's still slow, but but compared to, kind of the history of just queer history period, the start of all of the fights for human rights around being LGBTQ was a Black trans woman. And that gets lost all the time because Black people don't want to talk about that part of our culture. Like, somehow it has been just pushed aside for so long that, like, not even trying to do it as like a bad thing, but like the whole term being on the down low. It was like, well, that's my friend. He's on the down low, but I still love him. It was something that they came up with to basically be like, yeah, he's gay, but yeah, he's still okay. Like, what the fuck is that? Of course he is. He's a human being. But, we're still struggling with that, especially with older and Southern and religious Black people.
Yeah, and then the pastors. Oh, let me not even start. Let me not even start. Because that's another whole. We'll talk about that when it. But yeah, let's just remember I said that and I stopped when it comes to fruition. But yeah, no.
All right, so I'm looking at the clock and seeing that we have now been hanging out for quite a while, and I think it's about time we wrap this up and get to our white people question of the night.
Yes.
Also, because I can hear my dog screaming in the other room and mad at me for not feeding them yet.
Yes. I was like 9 o'clock.
Right. Like, you didn't hear it, but Dean had to leave the room for a second because they are in the other room very angry right now.
Yeah. Like, they better stop talking in there. Why does she keep doing this?
I can hear her, and she's an hour fucking late.
And they're giggling and
I'm fucking loud. Especially if I'm laughing, and y'all make me laugh all the time. So they're probably back there like, I hear her.
She's having fun with other people.
Right? They think this is a joke. This is not a game. No.
Okay.
All right.
So this is kind of this is a question that has been heard in different forms as whether they're
but
talking
still gets asked.
Yes, whether it's Black History Month or, in this case, why is it okay to have a BET, Black Entertainment Television, when we don't have WET? So
the first thing I would say to that would be, what makes you think we don't have a WET? I would argue that 90% of media is WET or WE whatever media, like, it's it's the exception to the rule to see a black person in something. Like the fact that we have to do movies and TV shows and all sorts of things that are made for and by black people is because everything is owned and run by white people and we don't have actual representation. And this is what we were talking about before, BET is owned by Viacom. So BET is owned by white people. And the fact that like we don't even have control of our own media, like you can say all you want, why do you have a BET when there's no WT? When the truth is we don't even really actually have a BET, at least not the BET that we were promised when it started.
No, not that it was when I remember watching Video Soul and, you know, my grandparents watching Bobby Jones Gospel Hour on Sundays. And, you know, this is what I'll say is we have BET because we are not a monolith. We are not all crackhead mothers. We are not all criminals. We are not all prostitutes. We're not all just like uneducated or, you know, sports stars. So in order for us to be able to show the true stories and show, you know, the range of who we are and that we live regular lives, that's the reason why we have BET. But now why we have other entities such as what's the channel you love?
Everything by Tyler Perry.
What channel you love? Bounce. Bounce, but yes, Tyler Perry. Bounce. Why we have, although it's, you know, it's turning into nothing but ratchet reality TV. Zeus. You know, why there are specific, you know, if you stream your television, I use Roku, you know, there are 7 different channels that are black, you know, movies and things like that. So that's why.
Well, even just look at, I think you guys were talking about this last week about Real Housewives, that whole franchise where most of the Real Housewives episode or series will be white centric. And then there'll be somewhere like Atlanta where it's all black people. And like, that's representative of America itself. Like there's a lot of white people that kind of get that power and recognition. And then when they focus on black people, it's like, well, why are you focusing on black people? Oh, but you know, what about all people?
And they fight. So, no, I can tell you how many basketball wives are white. I can tell you, you know, Real Housewives of New York. It looks like
Atlanta.
The newest season, Real Housewives of Salt Lake. They look now. Yeah. Those women are about
no
to scrap.
fucking shit.
Like, they are
seriously.
Yeah,
don't you mean Real Sister Wives of South Lake?
TLC came out with that years ago.
I have a couple friends who live in Salt Lake, and it is the whitest place I've ever been in my life.
They have a couple that are supposed to be colored, but they're on the fairer side.
And did you hear about this lady who allegedly married her granddad so she could inherit the family money? Okay.
Ew.
The lady of color on there. Yes, Queen, Google that shit as soon as we get off this podcast.
Ew.
All right.
But my response to this question would be like, nigga, what you talking about?
Right?
Can I get a black television network? Can I get a Black History Month? Because on some real shit, and like I told y'all, maybe I didn't. I think I talked about it on Twitter one day. I very much as a kid, I went to Catholic school. I told y'all, like I went across the bridge, went to school with a bunch of like wealthy white people. And I only wanted to play with white Barbie. I loved Sailor Moon. She was my role model. And at a point, my mom was like, nah, this is done. And she used to make me read like black books to her every night, just about different leaders, different cultures around the world. But like the Tulsa Race Massacre, which we've talked about in this podcast, I never knew that shit happened until like 2 years ago. I think there was some news story on it. And I was like, wait, what? Who? What? I never heard this shit. There's this one account. I wish I had looked it up before we got hopped on this podcast, of this guy who just breaks down like different African societies, like back in the day. Never heard of any of this shit. And I just sit there and I read these things when I'm trying to sleep at night, like, well, holy fuck, I never heard of this shit. I was not taught this shit with my very expensive quote unquote education. This shit was lost on me. And I even said to the guy, hey, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Because I think a lot of people would be into this shit. I know I am, because it's never been presented to me. So much of the story is not even covered even by Black entertainment television. So, you know, You celebrate your Galileos and your America Vespucci's and all this other kind of bullshit. I'm still in here in the dark like, oh, yeah, who the fuck am I? What the fuck is my history?
Yeah.
You got that shit for me? I'm down. But until I see that shit, I ain't got no black television. Oh,
there we go.
I love
and
you.
And mic drop. That is
love
perfect.
You. I think that's a good mic drop for the show right there.
I'm loving it.
All right. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed talking about whatever episode. What were we talking about tonight?
Gangstalicious. Thug lovin'.
Thug and love. Thug and love.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you back again next week for a Huey Freeman Christmas. Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-we-3-undo.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.